Just make a new thing. Oh, there we go. Share screen, entire screen, share. All right, turn off image mute. There we go. So in the future, if any of you guys miss a meeting or like want to follow along at home or something, we do have the live streams we're going to be trying to do on our YouTube channel. So those will also be available after the meetings as well if you just want to go back over them. All right. So before we get started, does anyone have any questions from the last meeting or anything between they want to ask real quick? All right, I guess we're good. So Duncan, you want to come introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Duncan. I'm sort of an advisor for the club. I graduated in December, and I was the last president of the club. And we did quite a few games. Do you know how many games we did, Luca?
I mean, it'd be at least one per game jam, so it's at least like 6,
Yeah,
maybe 9.
Yeah. I think I was president for a year, and I do audio, sound effects, and music, and I'm really trying to get into Wise integration, which is a audio middleware, and I would like to start using Unreal Engine, if that means anything to anybody. But I don't really have any experience with like coding or programming. But yeah.
You'll find a lot of these people over here. There's a lot of computer science people around this group.
It was a very strong majority.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll go ahead and get on with the tutorial. So as the name suggests, this will be about object interaction, like if you hit an object, how you know what you're doing with it, call a function, stuff like that based on that. And going off that, we'll go a little bit into projectiles, so you can add some projectiles for your enemies from the last tutorial. So that's just like the overview of sort of what I was mentioning there. But the particular way we'll do this, at least in Godot, is you have areas. So you have like your colliders, but for areas, it doesn't like make them bounce off each other. It's just simply, hey, a thing went into this thing. I know what that thing is. Now I can do some code. And anyway, so when it comes to how you actually get your areas to do stuff, that'll be of signals, which I won't really explain right now because you'll see firsthand how that really works later. And then a smaller thing I went over a bit last time is globals. So that's just an easy way to like change values between a bunch of different scripts all over the place instead of having to use like a combination of signals and the like. So sometimes that's just an easier way to do things. All right, now I'm going to go ahead right into Godot. And while I'm opening this up, can I see a show of hands for how many people are planning to follow along today? All right, good amount. So I'll go back to what we were doing before. So we're going to be coming back to this player script soon. In fact, that little ready function, we will actually be using that for like a brief thing. So if you don't have that already, you might want to put that in there real quick, but you'll get the chance to later. But the first thing we'll go do is we'll go to add new scene. So that plus up there. And then we're going to make a few. So before we did character bodies, this time instead, not rigid, my bad, static. So these can still have like physics to them, like for actually like colliding with stuff, but they should not move. You can totally force them to move if you change their position, but like in their class and their script, there is nothing for actually using velocity to move. So you only really use these if you want that just to stay put. And I'm gonna call this guy, let's see, obstacle, and I'm gonna give it a child node. So collision shape 2D, and then animated sprite. So I'll mess with the collider after I get the animated sprite set up, and I'll switch to 2D so we see what we're doing. So go over to animation on your right, then go to sprite frames, click on the empty, do new sprite frames, then click on sprite frames. That'll open it up down here like before. And we just need to go to our textures, demo sheet, change that size to 32 by 32. And this is going to be our obstacle. So we're going to choose this little spike object here. So that should be next to your stairs. Then add frame. All right. Is everyone caught up to that point, or do you need me to show something again real quick?
What's the button? You press it open to turn it
For opening what?
off. Press like turn it off.
Oh,
It's spicy.
so did you make your spreadsheet already over here? Did you click on it? Then you just go to this guy down here, this little grid looking thing. Yep. All right. Anyone else need help? All right. Guess we're good. So next we're going to go ahead and set our collider up. So go to it, go to your shape on the right, go to your empty, and then we're going to do new rectangle shape. And I'm going to zoom in a bit. So there are a few ways you can do this. You could just drag the extents of this rectangle around, but I know exactly how I want this guy. So I'm going to click on the rectangle thing again. That lets you choose your size values. So I'm going to do 32 by 17. And that's at least the size I want for it, but it's a little bit off of where I actually want it. So when you get that set up, you go down to transform, then you'll get these position options, and you're just going to put in 7.5, and that should get it like just about how you want it. You guys see how to do that? I'll give it just a second to make sure you catch up to that. All right. Anyone need me to stop for a second until I move on? All right, I'll keep going. So we're going to go back to our obstacle. We're going to go to node next to inspector on your right. Then you see signals. We're not going to touch on that just yet. So you'll go to groups, and you'll have a few options here. You're going to click on the plus, and we're going to do obstacle. I'm going to make sure. Yep, obstacle. And you don't need to worry about turning on global. You just leave it how it is. And there you go. So this is all we should need just for this guy, because everything else in terms of actually like handling the collisions and stuff will handle via the player. So save scene as obstacle. And we're going to make a few more while we're at this, since we want to get our goal and the coin for the player to pick up done. But now that we have this guy set up, do you guys all have that, or do you need me to go back to a certain point? All right. I'm going to take my obstacle thing I just made, do copy, like while you have obstacle selected, and then we're going to make a new scene, paste from clipboard, and instead of obstacle, I'm going to make this coin. And then you should have groups still out. You'll turn off groups, do the plus again, and then I'm going to do coins. I'm going to zoom in again to make sure I see what I'm doing. Go back down to animated sprite. So you should be able to see that guy down there. We're actually going to go over to inspector real quick. I forgot. So because we copy and paste this guy, it's going to be based directly on what we use on the other one. But to fix that, while we have this animated sprite selected, we're going to go to animation. And then over here to the sprite frames, instead of clicking on, we're going to right click. You see a few options here. We're going to go ahead and do make unique. So that way you can edit this guy without editing the other one. So we do that. Now it unlocks all these options down here. So I'm just going to delete the frame we already have there, since this is going to be a coin instead. Select this guy instead like before. And instead of the obstacle, I'm going to select the coin. There you go. All right. Does anyone need me to go back real quick so you can see what to do? So is everyone good? All right, I'll continue. So with that set up, we're now going to fix our collision again. So similar to before, we're actually, instead of making this guy unique, we want to make this a circle. So we're going to right click on that rectangular thing over here, we're going to go to new circle, and we're going to go back down to transform, and we're going to set that to 0. So that should mean your circle should like go around this coin. It's going to be a little bit hard to see depending on how you have it. But that should be our coin setup because we have our group over here. And we have our collisions and all that over here. So we're going to save that as our coin. And then same as before, I'm just going to copy this guy, go to the next scene, and then copy and paste. So similar to before, going to go back down to animated sprite, inspect, animation, make this guy unique, delete this one that we don't want, go in here, get the goal. So it should look like this. And then we're just going to fix that collider because this guy should be all good. Instead of a circle, we want a rectangle again. And actually, to make it a little bit easier, I'm going to try to do the extents. So all you have to do is just drag it down a little. And that does it just like that. Oh, I'm going to rename this guy to goal. Go back to node, turn off the group for the coins, and then add goal. Okay. So when you get all 3 of those are going to be the objects we're mainly going to be working with for basic collisions. Does everyone have these 3 objects? All right. And just make sure, can I see any hands for anyone that does need help? All right, I guess we're good. So with that, we're now going to work a little bit on our player. So we're going to go back to our player over here. And before we do some scripting, we're going to give it an area so it can actually detect these objects. So have your player selected, do add child node. And then we're going to add area 2D. And it gives you that warning sign because we need to give it its own little collider. So collision shape 2D, add that as a child to your area 2D. Then go to inspect, go to shape, and then you're going to do capsule. And we just want to align with the player collision we already have from before. So I believe if I just go check here, it's just down by 1 pixel. So we're just going to shape this guy down by 1. And now it should line up. And then here's a bigger thing we're going to have to do. So I'm going to show something real quick so you understand what we're doing. If you go to your character body up here and you go to collision, this shows you the layer and the mask it's on. So the layer is like the one that it can be detected on. So anything that has like a mask of 1 will see anything in the layer of 1. So in this case, our ordinary character body, which has its collider, is in layer 1. So that means anything that has that's in layer 1, it can like collide with and bounce off. But for the area, we actually don't want that. Instead, we're going to go to here, and we're going to add 2. That way, it can still detect stuff in 1, which would be important for our bullets. But for 2, that means we can detect stuff that we ordinarily won't be colliding with. So like, let's say you want to go to a coin. You don't want to bounce off your coin. You just want to go through it and collect it, right? So that's why we're doing this. In fact, I just realized I need to go do that real quick for these guys. I forgot to do that. So go back to each of these, the obstacle, the coin, and the goal. And we're basically going to do that same thing. You go to the static body, do collision, change that, turn off that 1 just by clicking it, then click 2. Same thing, turn off 1, 2. I'm going to save that guy. Then same thing, collision, turn off 1, turn on 2, turn off 1, turn on 2. And then same thing over here, turn off 1, turn on 2. There we go. So that way, the player can go through these in terms of.
Why are you using a rigid body 2D instead of an area 2D?
Am I? Oh, these static ones.
Or yeah, static body.
So that's still because that way they still stay in place. Theoretically, you could use an area like you're saying. I just find it a little bit easier in terms of organization like this. since areas are just for detecting things, there shouldn't really be anything visual with them. It's like you might add an area to this guy for detection, but you usually won't add like a sprite to your area.
Oh.
Like I'm trying to remember, I think like there are some things inside this for scripting that you won't have if you just do an area. So you can actually do an area if you want to. I just found this a little bit of an easier way to work with. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So once you have all those collision changes fixed, we're going to go back over here. And now that we have this little area set up, and it should be able to detect everything, we're going to, with it selected, go to Node, go to Signals, and you have a few options here. Basically, these like detect a certain action, and it can like cause a function based on what happens. So in this case, we want to detect if something goes inside the little area we have. So we're going to do body entered, and we're going to connect this up to our player. So just to make sure you see what I did, you'll right click on body entered over here, do connect, and then with player selected, you click connect. And now create a whole new function down here. Yeah, so if you have your area selected, you go to node, you go to signals, then if you have body entered over here, you'll right click on that, do connect, and it'll give you this little menu over here to choose a node for it to put a function in. And I just selected player and I did connect. You got that? All right. Anyone else? All right. So this way now we can actually tell if there's something going around the player. So give me one second. Okay, I do have all the code here. So now we're going to go add a bit more code to our player. So first off, we're going to have a way for us to know the health of our player anywhere inside the script. So that actually made me realize we're not quite going to start scripting here yet because we need a new little thing. We're going to go to project settings. So you might remember going here when we did the input map. But instead of that, we're going to go to globals. And you'll see a few options here. We're going to set up, actually I already have a script set up. But if you're setting up one, you'll type in globals here. You're going to do add, and then it'll give you a little menu. And you'll just like, I think you do like done. Let me see. Yeah, you do load after you do, or I guess create. It'll be something create or something down there. So you'll create that. And then if you want to open it up, all you do is you click this little like folder icon, and it'll go right to the little globals thing we have. All right. Do you guys need me to run through that one more time? All right, we're all good? All right. And all we're going to add in here is just a single variable that we want to keep track of. So it's going to be health, and we're just going to set that to 0 as like an initial like value. And we're going to save that so it's a bit easier to reference. If you don't save it, just makes it a little bit hard to tell what you already have in there. And when you have that, that's all we're doing inside the script. So we're going to go back to our player script. And now if you have ready, we can go ahead and use that. Because we want to change that value to be the health that we set for our player every time. So that whenever you put in the level, you can give it like a certain value, and then it'll carry over to that global for anything else you want to use it with. Like take, say, UI, for example. If you want to show the health of your player by a UI, instead of having the reference somewhere in the script, it references the global. So how that works, at least whenever I do like with that global's name there, it will just do globals, dot, and then whatever variable you want to use from there. You have a question?
So does that mean that there is a variable health in the player script that we can change that'll then change the global variable?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can always give them different names if you want to. I just figured for ease of use, we just made them the same value. Well, I mean, not value, name. Yes?
Is this an alternative to having a get method in the player script?
Yeah. Like, there are, like, different ways to store your image in there. For instance, if I had, like, a UI element that was, like, further down in the nodes, I could just do, like, get parent a bunch of times to eventually get it from the script. But, like, people probably don't want to be doing that. That seems a little bit difficult and hard to keep track of.
Yeah, so you need like a reference to the player and then you use a reference to the get method to get the player's help.
Yeah. So from what I can tell, this like tends to be an easier option, especially if you're not even inside the same like children anymore. If you're like from an entirely different thing, it's a bit hard because you need someone to get a signal between them, or another way to like know like where the node is. So this gets much more complicated if you're just trying to pick up a single value.
Yeah.
So that's why we're doing this.
It's giving me an error for some reason.
Let me take a look.
Oh, yeah. It's a identifier confirmed here.
Oh, it's using the match the capitalization of it. I'll also make sure it's the same for your globals for how you did it there. So just give it lowercase there, lowercase there. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
All right. So that is also all we're going to be doing for a ready function. And then we don't need to mess with this physics function either. This stuff is all good. But now we're going to go ahead and mess with this guy. So we're going to get rid of pass. We don't need that. And we're going to do this little bit of code. I'll show you and I'll explain it. Is in group. And we'll start off with this obstacle. And then it'll be hurt. All right, I'll go ahead and make this function real quick so it doesn't yell at us. There. All right, so I'm going to add a bit more to these guys in a bit. But to explain real quick what this does is every time it detects a body, which is like any sort of physics thing going inside that area, it's going to call this function. It's going to tell it the body that's doing that. And this is going to check if that body is inside a group called obstacle. So you remember we put that obstacle group for that node we made before? So in that case, it'll only trigger this for that one, in which case it'll call the function hurt for like I'm taking damage. And I'm going to start adding a few more. If body dot is in group, and instead of that, we're going to do goal, and we're going to do win if body dot is in group, and we're going to do coins and body dot queue free, and we're going to do gain coin. I'm going to make these functions real quick. Func win and func gain coin. All right, this is what you should have so far, and these parts should be understandable except for body.queueFree. So what this will do is whenever you get a coin, you don't want that coin to exist after because you just got it. You don't want to get it infinitely. So it'll call that coin. It's going to call a function called queueFree. That's pretty much in every node in here. And basically what that does is that's going to delete that node at least as soon as it can. It might take like a very, very small amount of time. There's a bunch of tasks going on. That's why it's queue. But overall, that will eventually delete it. Yes?
How do you add things into objects or groups?
Oh, so I'll go back and show that again. So we have like your static body over here. You go over to node, you go to groups, and then you do plus, and it lets you put whatever group you want to do.
Sweet. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Do you need to see them again for each one?
No, thank you.
All right. Because they should be self-explanatory only for coins that has like S at the end. I probably should change that around, but oh well. Anyway, so now that we have those, we're going to make these functions real quick. So for win, we just want to know that we won. There's some code you can do for other stuff, but this is just going to be simple. Oh, whoops, you win. There we go. I had trouble spelling there for a second. And gain coin plus equal 1. Print score. And then for hurt, this one's going to be a little bit more interesting. Oh, actually, wait. Health. And then minus equal 1. Velocity dot y equal minus jump velocity times 0.75, print health. Let me get rid of this guy real quick. And then let me see. We don't need to see that guy. If health is less than 1, print use. All right, so I'll explain these real quick. So for the win function, it's kind of self-explanatory. We're just going to print a message inside the console saying you win. For gain coin, that's just going to increase your score by 1 and tell you what your score is. And then for hurt, this one's a little bit more complex. It's going to decrease your health by 1, and it's going to make it so you jump up just a little bit. So that way, it's like you're not going to be constantly getting hurt. It's kind of like a little bit. I can't quite think like it's like a reflex or something like that.
Knockback?
Yeah, knockback. Yeah, that's a good word for it. Then it'll tell you what your health currently is, and if your health is too low, it's going to just say that you lose. All right. Does that make sense for everyone? All right. You got it?
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to save all of these. So that way it's a little bit easier for what I'm about to do. So that should be all the code we need for now just to test these. So we're going to go over to the level 1 that we did before. I'm going to switch to 2D so it's a little bit easier to see what we're doing. I'm going to go to my tile map layer. I'm going to go back down the tile set. And so before we had this ordinary one just based on a tile sheet. And that works when we're just doing like solid stuff that just stays there. But we don't want that anymore. We want to use those scenes that we just made. So while you have tile set open, we're going to go to that plus. And then instead of Atlas, like we did before, we're going to do scenes collection. We're going to click that. Everyone see how they get there? All right. And with that open, you're going to do this little plus here. That'll just select any of those scenes we did before. So I'm just going to start adding those. So I want my coin, my goal, and my obstacle. And that is all you need to do for those guys just to put them in there. Once you have those, you're going to go to your tile map. So before you might have the tile sheet selected up here, just switch over to the scene collection. Now you can put down these guys. So say I want some coins here and here. I want my goal, let's say right here, and I want some obstacles over here. There you go. And just so I don't mess stuff up, I'm going to switch that back to pointer. And I'm going to go ahead and try this real quick. This should work. There you go. So you see it collects a score down there. If I hit the obstacle, it makes me jump up a little bit. And it tells me my health right there. And then I can go here, and it says I win. Does anyone have any problems getting that to work on their end? Oh, yes? Oh. I'll show that again real quick. Should be pretty simple. Did you get your tile set up? All right. So go to tile map, select the scene collection, then just select any of these guys that you want to put down. And then you go to the pencil tool or the paint tool, and that should be able to do it. Is that working?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And something a little bit for future reference is if you ever want to put that on top of like, say you want to put a coin on top of like one of these tiles, for instance, for some reason, you want to make a whole different tile map layer just for that. Because otherwise, if you try and do that right, 90% of deleting the tile and put the coin on it instead. But you should be able to do that now based on the other stuff. All right. So that's it for the actual basic object detection stuff. That should show how to actually get those signals, know it's hitting what, and all that. And now we're going to make a very quick projectile for like a very simple enemy. So first off, we're going to start making our little bullet for that. Let me make sure I'm seeing what I'm doing right. Yeah. So for our bullet, we're going to make that a character body. I think theoretically you could do, I think, a rigid body, but I find character bodies a little bit easier to work with. So bullet, and then we're going to give that a sprite. You'll see why we're doing a sprite in a second, since I forgot to put a sprite inside the sprite sheet for bullets. So we're going to improvise just a little bit. Then we need a collision shape and timer. So we'll need all three of those. Then we'll go to our sprite inspector. We're going to do load for the empty over here. This will just take a random texture. And I'm just going to choose the icon texture since we can just use that as a bullet for now. And if I recall correctly, the scale we want for that guy, since we'll do transform, so we have that sprite on there. We'll go to scale. And I have 0.15 should work to make a pretty small bullet. All right. Do you guys have that sprite in there? All right, I'll continue. So we'll go to our collision shape, go to shape, then we're just going to do a circle. So I made it that scale, so you can just put the circle there, no adjustments needed, it should cover it. Then the last bit of setup we'll do before we do a little bit of a script is we're going to go to our timer. We're going to set this guy to 1.5. We're going to make it one shot, and we're going to make it auto start. So we're doing this because for our little bullet here, this timer is going to make it so it deletes itself after a certain amount of time, so it doesn't just go on forever. So it'll run for 1.5 seconds. One shot means it'll just only run this timer once, and auto start means it'll start as soon as it loads in. So we have all that. Does anyone need a second to get all that finished up? All right, I'll continue. Now we're going to put a script for a bullet. Make sure you put it on the bullet and not anything else in there. So you should see that extends character body 2D up there. And then we're going to do a little bit of scripting. It won't be much for this guy. 250, export var here, -1. Ready. I'll explain all this in a second. It won't be too weird. And then func physics. Move and slide. And all right, we'll have one more bit of script we're going to do in a second, but I'm going to explain this real quick. So speed is just the speed of our bullet, and like for the velocity, nothing weird there, like no acceleration or anything else. The direction is just a way to know like which direction it's going. I'm not going to mess around with that this time, but that's just there. So if you ever want to add more stuff for your enemies, like make them flip around and stuff, all you have to do is change that direction variable for what it sends to the bullet, and that way it'll be able to switch what direction the bullet's going. So that's you just like multiply your speed by your direction. That's how that works. And then it calls just move and slide constantly for the physics process. So it never changes velocity. It's always just using that just to keep updating where it is. All right. Then the one other thing we need to do is we need to go to our timer, go to node. We're going to go to signals, timeout, connect that up to our bullet, and then we're going to just do queue free. So do you need to see that again? You go to your timer, go to signals, go to connect, and then put down your bullet. And then for that function, it gives you do queue free. That way, whenever that timer finishes, it's going to delete the bullet. All right. And I'm going to, I'll go back real quick. It's timeout. Do you see that? Yep. All right, you got it? All right. Oh, yeah, no problem. The other thing I'm going to do in a second, I'm going to set, actually, I believe the colliders. So unlike what we did before, the collider is actually going to stay at 1, I think. Or, oh, never mind. Actually, we're going to set it to 2. I was going to set it to 1, but I realized there's a little bit of a weirdness. You'll understand if you make it so this shoots at a wall. All right. And we're going to go to our bullet, go to inspector, like we did before. Well, not that collision. We're going to go to this collision. Change both of those to 2. And that way, our player will be able to detect that just like very easily. And I'm going to save that as, oh, that's not how to spell that. bullet. But unlike the other things we made before, this is not going to be put directly in our scene. This is going to be spawned in by our enemies to shoot at us. So if you guys have this, we're going to make our enemy real quick. So other node, I'm going to do character body. So you don't need to make this a character body, but I'm doing this so if you ever want to come back and edit this, you can make it so your enemies can move around. But for now, I'm just going to make this just a basic character body, but it's not actually going to have anything to move. I'm going to give it a collision, animated sprite, and then a timer. I'm going to switch to 2D so I see what I'm doing a little bit better. We're going to leave this at 1. I'm going to go here, change that collision to 2, so we're ready for something with that real quick. Go to our sprite frames, add those, and I'm going to use this little red guy down here as our enemy. I'm going to zoom in a bit, and I think I'm just going to make it so, let's make him a little rectangle. And for his size, it's going to be 24 by, I think, 32. Yeah. So I'm going to make a quick little script for this guy. But do you guys need me to go back and show them make this real quick? All right. Is everyone at this point? Gotcha. Want me to check and see if that looks all right? Let's see. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, just the white. Oh, yeah, you need to have shape for it. So I did 24 by 32. You can always drag it around to get it exactly how you want to. All right. But if you have all that, I'm going to go ahead and make our enemy script. There we go. And then I'll explain this in just a second. Preload, bullet, and then, we're going to make a function, but this one we're actually just going to get it from our timer. We're going to go to our timer. We're going to, I forgot to give it this. We're going to give it auto start. Going to go to node, go to timeout, and then connect it to our enemy. So just again to show that real quick, for our timer and inspector, we're going to turn on auto start, keep it at 1 like we did before, go to node, and we're going to turn on timeout for this guy. So that gives us our little function here. And this is going to be a very simple one, and then I'll explain all this. Bullet dot instantiate. And newbie. Global, nope, that's not it. Position, global position, then get parent and child newbie. All right, so what this little bit of code is doing is it's first loading up our the bullet thing that we made before, and then every time that timer goes off is when it's going to shoot. So the shoot is going to first instantiate that bullet, so I can make a copy of it. It's going to give it the location of where this enemy is. I did global position. You can also just change that out for position. I just find usually global position is an easier way to go to make sure it's absolutely where you want to be. And then I do get parent to go to whatever the enemy's on. Then I'm going to add a child, which is going to be that bullet that I just made. So they'll make the copy of it in the position the enemy is, and it'll start doing all the stuff I gave for the bullet to do before. All right. Everyone have that? All right. Oh. So that's all good? Yeah. I will say with this stuff, using tab is, oh, yes.
I was just gonna, is the script on the timer of the enemy in the contract? If you don't want this script you just wrote, is that on the timer?
No, that's on the enemy.
Okay, that's on the enemy.
Yeah. So the easy way to keep track of that is to see what's extended.
Yeah.
Since that extends thing will be whatever the node type is. So you good?
Alright.
You just about got it.
So, that's analyzing the frequency.
Yeah, like as I was trying to say, using tab is very helpful on these occasions. I usually just type the first few letters and immediately just do that. All right, and then the quick thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to enemy, go to nodes. I'm going to give it the enemy group. I'll make sure I got this right. Yep, enemy. And I'm going to save this guy as enemy. So make sure you give that group to your character body. I forgot to do that before. Same thing, we're going to go to our bullet. Make sure you have bullet and give it the group bullet. So that should be the node stuff done. Then we're just going to go over to our player script. Going to add a few small things here. If body dot is in group, and then we're going to do bullet. So if it's the bullet, it's going to delete it since we want to do like similar to the coin. We're going to call that hurt function. And if body dot, I'm going to just ignore that Discord thing.
Oh, sorry.
Oh. And then for enemy, we're going to do kill enemy. And we're going to give that body. So I'm also doing this so I can show something real quick. So function, kill enemy, body. And then this should be simple. Body dot q free score plus equal to print score. All right. So something I wanted to do real quick is show you, you can take that body that you got here and you can pass it along as an argument to any other functions. So you might not want to be using it inside here sometimes. You might want to instead do something with it over here. So this is essentially the same as the gain coin thing, but instead it's all combined as a single function. So that might be something you want to do in the future to make it a little bit easier on yourself. And I just made it so it increases the score by 2 instead. So I believe that should be all we need to do for these guys. I'm going to check through real quick. Yep, okay. And all we need to do is go back to our little tile set over here. And we can add on those guys by going down to that plus. So you don't even need to add bullet, you just need to add enemy. You can go to tile map, take your enemy that you just put in there. And I'm going to make mine just stand up so I don't have to worry about him immediately shooting me. I believe this should work. Let's find out. So now he's shooting stuff out. If I get hit, it deletes the bullet and I take some damage. And if I hit the enemy, I get rid of it and I gain some score. There you go. Does anyone need me to go back to a certain point real quick? So everyone has this working on their end? Yes?
I'm not sure.
Let's take a look. So let's see that. Can we go to the end instead of here? Go here. And so your signals and your chips going to the request. I gotta make that up. So, yeah, do that. So just do next.
Probably replace this and these days.
You had the code for it, but it wasn't actually connected that way. You have to do that first. You can put in the code that's not work here just yet. But let's see. Hopefully that fixes it up. Check that script again real quick. Let's try put like a hashtag in front of that guy to comment it out. And then go after and put a pass. So, on the next line. That's just going to ignore that. That lets us see if it's just deleting the bullet automatically. Now, okay, there's no spawn in it. So that's still a thing with your enemy script. Also, while I'm doing this, Christian, I believe someone mentioned they wanted to showcase like a game or something. Did you see if there's any, if there was, if there, that person is here to see if they want to do that?
Yeah, let's see, is that person here right now?
Probably talking about me. I'm working on it right now, actually.
Oh, cool. Do you want to show it off at all?
I'd be happy to, but I want to fix some of the stuff.
Oh, yeah,
we're
no
doing.
problem.
Yeah, so we can always do it like next meeting if we want to.
Yeah. I might just wait at this point to show it.
Yeah, that's all good. I wasn't quite sure. I didn't quite remember the all.
Oh, wait. Go to start. Start yours. Oh, that's why. You need to do auto start. Now try. We'll undo that stuff yet. But that should fix the issue, I think. Okay, nice. All right, anyone else having issues? I'll head over there. But at least that's actually it for the tutorial part of this, so you can take the rest of the time when the game change starts. A bit less time left in my votes. That's really simple. Go here. And then right click on the button there, copy it. There you go. Oh, it's probably for, I have an idea. Let's go to your area on the player. I did also see it there. Oh, are you doing like a? Inspector. Go down that is supposed to be just one, the other can be one.
And most of the time it's like objects like text.
That is a weird thing. You don't even
Instead of
set
having
that
to
working.
and put it in.
But usually you don't want to mess with this stuff on this app. It just makes it a little bit weird.
I think it comes down to go I'm like, all right.
Yeah, because basically you're giving everything
I don't know
over the
this
free
thing,
position in here. It's gonna all be.
but
All
Python.
right, you want to.
You guys want function?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just basically using it as a search engine right now.
It's small. It's just like a little warning. But if we go to your player, and go to your area. Let's go down.
I still remember Brian talking about how like every time you like load up ChatGPT and just imagine if it instead like showed you the amount of resources you were using for each search, or like number of trees destroyed from your Google search, from you just being like what, how do you make eggs and it's like 10,000 trees destroyed, and it's just not solving fun message. It's like loading screen.
Click on that shoulder button, please. So that one button, click on that. Should usually bring you towards where it's going.
This I've seen space.
Yeah.
So it should be calling up from times.
Checking the
group setup.
Also, there are videos.
I'll check it on another channel. Oh, it's not. Oh, yeah. This is download.
Like,
Oh, that's loud.
yeah. Someone's video, he didn't show the and then he just like,
Usually you want to check it from the root and all those, so. It's all right, like, it's not gonna cause an issue, but that one's gonna be the one that actually, like matters for all
probably
the
gonna
stuff.
start now the next that's not a small figure at all.
Let's see.
I've never heard of it either.
I might think, I'm not.
Not really, but when I went to this conference like 2 years ago, I went to this conference like it was in DC. People were like, how much was it? Like, they're like, what's Clemson? No, that was such like a crazy thing. There's people from all over the nation.
Something.
Yeah, we just became really big.
Let's see.
Football in an hour. Tough, but
That's all they're saying.
Size for that person shape.
I just found out about it on the bus. Like I just saw it on news. Like popped up through my YouTube feed. I got like some news and I like follow. And then my friend like ask about it. Because it was pretty fresh, like it had just like come out that he died.
Yeah, that's probably why. If we
The
move
shit
all
we
that
got there
back,
was like,
hopefully
really
we're-
only happened like 2 hours later.
More politician?
Also, yeah, the player working there. Let's check over
You
all
know,
of
like,
the
on
information.
campus.
It's like, no reference stuff.
Fast.
Just like see if there are one thing at all.
Basically did have a lot of local stuff.
So like you see like on guys, make sure those are all when you want to do it. You have concern about the area and its version. No, it's not. Okay, yeah, it's not in the right place. So, it's up top, all the way up there. Same goes. I'll take this. I think it's like slightly off from the exposure. Oh, yeah, you're right. That's okay. Those are just in check. Oh, yep, it's just stuff there. The only thing is for the worst thing about the bullets.
Coding in Python now, on C++, is that you don't have colons at semicolons at the end of everything.
Also, know that that's like myself, but
There's
there's
crash out, I had to redo something. Programming in Python. I'm decoding.
Okay, you do.
So I'm also talking fast.
How's it going? Yeah.
Yeah, Owen didn't recognize when he came to the booth.
Necessary.
I thought you were in the VR phone. Must have
Yeah,
been the
it's,
first.
it's.
Uh,
Okay, so that means your bullets are
So,
being
like,
spawned.
It's totally different.
yeah, now because in my capstone, all this I'm talking about, there's like this big, like,
Yeah.
and we're doing next Friday, a bunch of, well, they're gonna be there showing off their stuff. Oh, that's something. And she had also asked about the VR code, she couldn't get in contact with them. I'm not be able to not know some people. I was hoping you were gonna, we need to like figure out, like, get in contact with, because considering where they're the sister club of the VR club, we don't have any contact. We kind of lost a lot of that contact.
You don't need to, yeah, it's kind of that.
The original, the old guard left, I feel like. Which, I don't know if you had any contact with them at all.
You're good.
You're good.
It's pretty good inside there.
Yeah.
It's just like made a whole
Because
system.
I
I
know,
hope they
I
like.
don't know.
Because I know they were like. Engaging them around.
It might be.
Yeah, so-
Okay, it just made a whole.
Yeah, because I mean, they are all pretty branded.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe a little bit longer to figure that out, but at least.
It might work
should be
reaching out to
cool
one of them, to see
actually.
if they might know. They might be in some, might be in a Discord or something like that. I'll reach out to.
What class are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing computer ethics. Two, so it's now classes on
Who's teaching her this? It should.
Like,
Yeah, because we talked about how apparently this guy looks just like me, apparently. I've had multiple people tell me this.
You know, I'm not gonna lie, when I saw him the first day, I kind of thought it was you.
I need to like go, I need to find this dude on campus before I leave.
He really does look like
He's also apparently like younger, I don't understand.
you. You graduated?
Oh, yeah, no, that's no
That's the
problem.
point. Actually, I got him a scholarship apparently. I could go another semester if I wanted to. If I want to. But I'm gonna meet my advisor tomorrow just to talk about it. Like, probably just get into it.
Is there any way I could?
But yeah, it was kind of unexpected because I got it last year. I wasn't expecting to get it again. Oh yeah, they're just getting this thing. So they just dropped it in September. I'm like, okay.
Turn that off and turn off visibility.
Combined with like my Spectre scholarship, which is ending after
Yeah,
this
just do it
year.
for that one.
The school, like that, spring 26. But I want to go first semester. Before it, but I want to. I want to pull in. She has some money.
You got plans?
I'm gonna be hitting the career hard. That's how my friend got her job.
Move back in with parents?
I hope.
That'd be up for
It's great.
Yeah.
That's all about
Are you-
it.
So are you, where are you from?
Yeah, it doesn't do it for that.
I grew up here. So
Oh, in Clemson?
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like we talked about this before, but I forgot.
You don't have to say
That's
that.
all right.
So you're just in there chilling.
We're chilling. It's like a game over there. So
Yeah, sorry. I used to do it for the so.
I remember
I
coming
don't
to
know,
this
when you get a job in Greenville.
it's where the money is.
It's where the money is, and it's like, I can still go to Marshall University in Clemson, the place that I go to. And then also I can go home easily, because it's an hour away from me. Like, it's the best location. It's also got shit around it.
If you're willing to travel and do like being in New York City, I mean like a small town feel,
Yeah.
this site next to your city will really get
Hey, how are you?
from Asheville,
There's only
2.5 hours away from
That means
Charlotte and
whenever that bullet.
Greenville, basically there's a chicken museum.
Yeah, Greenville's getting bigger and bigger.
Very, very close around.
So that would be a child.
So that's great, it's from the level, and the level's never even supposed to be.
It's good.
Yeah,
Um,
again, these two.
Just like
game watches.
10 years ago, it did not look nearly anything like the way it is now.
Yeah, no, like there are people at work that complain about people moving here, they're like too many people are figuring out meta or something like that.
It is, yeah. But I'm gonna play that because it's gonna be a lot safer than this kind I kind of feel like there's nothing here in Clemson.
Yeah, once you get out of university.
You know, probably like,
Really?
Wow. There's a weird thing, it must have been like moving the right.
Yeah, this is small town. At the end of the day,
It's the players.
I mean, the university
My
probably
guess
the
is
biggest
it's just like
employer
a
here. This thing with gapping with limestone's like shutting down, like how almost in half of that town, because like, that's one of the bigger draws, for, like businesses.
I've been feeling kind of game day because I figured out that the
I'm just seeing the
probably
last few months.
honestly no way in it, at least in the audio.
Yeah.
There's so much competition.
I feel like,
You take like so long just to get to the point where you're and
Yeah,
this
it's
is the
not,
time.
this is an update.
I would want to like spend extra work
I feel like,
for nothing.
I feel like to just do it on the side and then pull it up, and you're part of the big easy.
Right.
You're chilling.
That's mine.
That'd be my, that's like my pipe dream.
Yeah.
But yeah, 'cause I wanted to go into game development initially, but like after I'm like seeing like the industry, like Activision Blizzard or military, it's something I don't want to work here. I don't want to work in this industry. It just seems like this seems like cool work, but in the industry, like shit.
I mean, that's the best kind of working right now.
No, I was just wondering.
If you don't have like commitment, you don't have kids or the house, then then it's like good to work 12 hours a day because you can put all that money into it.
But there's also other shit. I don't want my life to just be myself. There's stuff I really want to learn. That's another reason I want to be in a place, because I want to be in places where I can like do martial arts or like take classes with like random things. That's why I I'm big enough to see it, take a blacksmithing if I wanted to probably. Like low key, that'd be kind of cool.
What would you do for that?
Just to be able to make shit.
Hey, you get super strong.
Get off.
You would.
And then you can make like a tiny business out of it if you want to.
Yeah.
Like, who's gonna talk about like, you can have like a niece and be like, yeah, my uncle's a blacksmith.
Yeah.
Which is so fucking cool.
You want to ever see Katie at all?
I haven't seen her since last spring, like the beginning of last spring. One of the first few weeks.
She was the education major.
She was in English.
English, okay, I'm trying to make sure I remember the right person. I actually ran into Gabby on campus like a week ago.
She's so busy. I don't know how she does it.
Yeah.
Really just changed it, like, was it cheaper for those?
I'm gonna be busy this semester. It's just, I noticed at the very beginning, I'm like, oh, this is just gonna go good. So I'm a senior design capstone class, I'm working with the I mean,
So it's just a local one?
and I know the professor, she's very intense, Professor Russell. She was in the Air Force for 10 years, and it shows.
I've heard professors warning me about that class. Yeah, like when I took computers, they're warning me about that.
Like, what professors?
I think it's some officer, yeah, 2010 and red.
They were just warning, like,
Yeah, that
this is like the
class.
trenches.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't know what it was, but it's operating systems. Take a little while to figure out.
We operate this.
The piano technician like we're working with, it's really special versus it's pretty intense.
That's crazy war for your job.
And then we work on pianos and
I think we're on.
Yeah, you have to like go through like 7 backstory like flashbacks in order to get that information in the finale for season 1.
yeah.
That your piano tech is actually crazy. Correct.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Do you want to quit?
I'll see you.
That'll do.
Yeah,
free.
Yeah, 3 of those come up in here.
Me and Luke were talking
does anyone want to
about
do
ideas.
something like
It's
this,
also
something
just have to have
afterwards?
time in our schedules.
No, I'll go over there and
actually look at it.
I don't even know what to do.
Yeah, we got some stuff that we put on the whiteboard.
Yeah, I know this.
Yeah, we were
Yeah,
doing
we're
some
talking
board
about
game
kinda like-
next week on.
It's gonna be cool, guys.
Send her a line on there, she's going to be on. So, all right.
And you do it all.
Have a good day. You too. All right. So, how you guys doing?
I feel like a CIA agent right now. I'm like decrypting a cipher.
You followed along, right? I'm trying to remember.
I followed around and looked at the first one, but I've just been doing homework on it right now.
Oh, okay.
I would have followed along, but I didn't have this thing due tomorrow.
Yeah, I gotta take priority.
That reminds me, I need to turn off that recording. Yeah, hopefully there's no one that's just been watching to this point that's
It's like, what the fuck's going on?
it's a little bit awkward.